The sound of the credit card breaking echoed across the white tablecloth. Sharp final. Like bones snapping. The waiter froze mid-pour, Cabernet trembling in the bottleneck. Other diners turned. Mom's smile was triumphant, the kind of expression that comes from believing you've won something important. That's what happens when you embarrass this family, she said, dropping the pieces onto my bread plate. The metal chip glinted under the pendant lighting. Running around telling people you're some kind of business owner. It's pathetic. Dad cut into his steak. The knife scraped porcelain. Your mother's right. Time to get serious. Real job. Real life. Stop this entrepreneur fantasy. My sister Sarah smirked from across the table. I told you she'd never make it. 3 years of building her brand. What a waste. The restaurant smelled like truffle oil and old money. Rue Bernardine. Mom's favorite. She came here every week, sometimes twice. Posted the photos on Instagram with captions about earned luxury and successful lifestyle. The irony sat heavy in my chest, dense as the bread I wasn't eating. I'd known this dinner was coming. Had felt it building for weeks. The comments getting sharper. The dismissals more frequent. Mom had started introducing me to her friends as between opportunities. Dad had stopped asking about my business entirely, as if ignoring it would make it disappear. What they didn't know was that I'd been preparing too. Had spent the last 6 months building what I called the ghost ledger. A comprehensive accounting of everything they'd taken from me. Not just money. Everything. I unlocked my phone. Not to argue. Not to defend. Just to open the Chase business banking app. My thumb moved across the glass screen, smooth and deliberate. Recurring transfers. Monthly scheduled payments. There it was, $4,200 to Susan Morrison, first of every month, 3 years running. I tapped the transfer. Selected it. Read the total at the bottom. $151,200 sent since March 2021. Then I pressed cancel. Deleted the recurring transaction. Confirmed the deletion. The app refreshed. Transfer canceled. No reversals. No warnings. Just gone. Are you even listening? Mom's voice had an edge now, the one that meant she expected groveling. I heard you, I said, setting my phone face down beside my water glass. You're cutting me off. That's right. She lifted her wine, satisfied. Maybe now you'll take life seriously. Your father has connections at his firm. Paralegal position. $45,000 to start. You can move back home, save money, stop pretending you're something you're not. Sarah nodded enthusiastically. It's actually a great opportunity, Emma. Benefits, stability. Real career trajectory. The words landed like they always did. Designed to diminish, to reduce, to remind me of my place in the family hierarchy. Sarah had always been the golden child. MBA from Wharton. Marketing director at a Fortune 500 company. She'd moved back home last year, temporarily, to save for a down payment. What she'd actually been doing was paying Mom and Dad $1,400 monthly rent while I covered most of their actual expenses. When's your mortgage due? I asked. The question landed wrong. I watched Mom's brain try to process the non sequitur, saw the micro-expression of confusion before she smoothed it into annoyance. Excuse me. Your mortgage. The one on the house in Scarsdale. 4-bedroom colonial. When's it due? Dad's knife stopped moving. What kind of question? January 15th, I said. 6 days from now. $3,800 monthly payment. You've never missed one in 3 years. Mom's hand tightened on her wine stem. The glass made a small sound, crystal protesting pressure. How do you know? Because I pay it. Silence. The kind that swallow sound makes the air thick. At the next table, a woman laughed at something her companion said. The sound felt like it was coming from another world. Sarah leaned forward. What are you talking about? I picked up my phone again. Opened my email. Found the folder labeled Family Financial Support Morrison Household. Turned the screen toward them. The subject lines scrolled past. Mortgage payment confirmation. Utility payment processed. HOA fee cleared. Car insurance premium paid. Property tax, escrow deposited. 3 years, I said. Since I started Morrison Digital Consulting. First year revenue, $180,000. Second year, $285,000. Last year, $340,000. I took $4,200 monthly from my business account. Sent it directly to Mom's personal checking. Every first of the month. You called it help from Dad's investments. Remember? Mom's face had gone pale, the foundation suddenly visible against her neck. That's not, you didn't. I did. I scrolled through the spreadsheet I'd pulled up. March 2021 through January 2025. 46 months. Mortgage, utilities, property tax, both car payments, country club dues. Even Dad's golf membership at Winged Foot. The numbers glowed on the screen. Each line item a separate wound. Mortgage, $3,800. Utilities, gas, electric, water, internet $420. Property tax, monthly escrow $890. Mom's Lexus ES 350, $640. Dad's BMW 540i, $710. Scarsdale Country Club, $850. Winged Foot Golf, $290. Home insurance, $180. Landscaping service, $320. Total monthly, $8,100. I'd covered $4,200. They'd covered the remaining $3,900 from Dad's consulting retainer and Sarah's rent payments. Dad's jaw worked. His hands had gone flat on the table, palms down. Why would you do that? Because you told me you were struggling. 3 years ago. March 2021. You came to my studio apartment in Queens. Sat on my futon. Said the retirement accounts took a hit during COVID. Said you needed help with the mortgage for just a few months until things stabilized. The memory was specific, etched in detail. Dad had looked smaller that day, older. He'd worn his reading glasses on top of his head, a tell that he was stressed. Mom had called twice during the conversation, her voice anxious in the background. They'd said the words that made me start the transfers the next week. We might lose the house. I'd believed him. Stupid, soft 25-year-old me had believed him. Had taken money from my barely profitable first-year business and sent it to them. Had kept sending it even when my own rent checks bounced. Even when I had to choose between health insurance and their mortgage. Things did stabilize, Mom said quickly. Her wine glass was shaking slightly. We were going to tell you. Tell me what? That you've been taking my money for 3 years while calling my business a fantasy? That every Sunday dinner where you told me to get a real job, you were sitting in a house I was paying for? That every time you posted Instagram photos from the country club, I just transferred money to cover the membership dues. My voice had stayed level. That was the thing I was proudest of. 3 years ago I would have cried. Would have apologized. Would have made it smaller to make them comfortable. Not anymore. Sarah's face had shifted. She was doing math, I could see it. Her accounting degree was finally useful. I've been paying rent, she said slowly. You told me it was going toward the mortgage. That I was helping with expenses. It was helping with expenses, Dad said. Just not the mortgage. No. I pulled up another screen. Bank statements from their joint savings account. It went into their vacation fund. The Sarah Morrison monthly rent payment. Deposited directly into savings. Last major withdrawal, December 18, 2024. Amount, $8,400. For the Turks and Caicos trip you're taking next month. The all-inclusive resort. 5-star. Sarah's mouth opened, closed. Her face had gone red, 2 spots of color high on her cheeks. You used my rent money for vacation while I paid for the house you live in. I set the phone down. The screen went dark. Yeah. The waiter appeared, nervous. He'd been hovering near our table, probably sensing the tension. Is everything all right with your meals? Fine, Mom said, her voice brittle as old paper. We're fine. We weren't fine. The table felt like a shipwreck and we were all drowning in different ways. I'd spent 6 months building the ghost ledger I'd mentioned. Started it in July when I'd finally run the numbers and understood the truth. They didn't need my help. They wanted my help. Needed me to stay small so they could stay comfortable. There's a difference. The ledger had categories beyond money. I pulled it up now, showed them the spreadsheet. Professional sabotage. January 2023. Client meeting with Harris Corporation, potential $45,000 annual contract. Dad called with emergency Needed help moving furniture. I rescheduled meeting. Harris Corp signed with competitor 2 days later. Cost: $45,000 revenue plus relationship with industry contact. November 2023. Mom told her book club I was between opportunities when asked about my business. 3 women there were VP level at companies I'd been trying to reach. Never returned my emails after that. Cost: 3 potential clients, industry reputation. Confidence tax. Every Sunday dinner 2021 to 2024. Average 3.5 dismissive comments per dinner. 156 dinners attended. 546 times told business was cute hobby, not sustainable, fantasy. Cost: 2 years of therapy to rebuild self-esteem, $8,400 in copays. Time theft. Holiday obligations. 18 major holidays spent at family events instead of industry networking opportunities. Each holiday equals average 8 hours. Total, 144 hours. Missed networking events. 23 events skipped. 4 family obligations. Cost: relationships never built, opportunities never seized, time never recoverable. Financial sacrifice documentation. June 2022. Chose their mortgage over my health insurance premium. Uninsured for 4 months. Developed kidney infection. Emergency room bill. $4,200, exactly 1 month's transfer to them. August 2023. Chose their property tax over my business liability insurance. 1 month uninsured. Lost potential corporate client who required proof of coverage. December 2023. Chose their car payments over my own emergency fund. When laptop died, had to use credit card at 22% APR. Still paying it off. Mom was reading over my shoulder. I could feel her leaning in. You kept track of all this? I'm a business consultant. I track everything. I closed the spreadsheet. The ghost ledger isn't about revenge. It's about understanding cost. You taught me that actions have consequences. I'm just applying the lesson. Dad's face had gone from pale to red. This is manipulative. Throwing our help back in our faces. Your help. The laugh came out sharp. You took $151,200 from me over 3 years. That's not help. That's theft with good branding. We're family, Mom said. Her voice had changed, had the quality of someone seeing an edge approaching. Family helps each other. Then why didn't you help me? The question sat there, simple and unanswerable. When I told you I was struggling, you told me to get a real job. When I asked for advice, you told me to give up. When I showed you my first $100,000 year, you said it wasn't sustainable. The only thing you ever wanted from me was money. Sarah was crying now quietly. Emma, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know they were. I know. I looked at her. You're not the problem. They are. You can't just stop, Mom said. Her hands were shaking. The wine glass trembled, red liquid moving like blood. The mortgage, we have other expenses we need. What I needed. The words came out colder than I'd intended. I needed parents who believed in me. I needed family who supported my dreams instead of dismissing them. I needed people who loved me for who I am, not what I could give them. The restaurant had gone quiet around us, or maybe it was just that I'd stopped hearing anything else. The world had shrunk to this table, this moment, this ending. I sent the cancellation confirmation this morning, I said. Before I came to dinner. All of it. Mortgage transfer, utilities, property tax, insurance, everything. It's done. The automated payments will fail on their scheduled dates. You'll receive insufficient funds notices from your bank. Mom's hands were shaking harder now. You can't, we'll lose. What I lost. I stood, picked up my bag. The leather strap felt solid against my shoulder, grounding. My savings. My emergency fund. The down payment I should have for my own place. 3 years of financial security. I lost that so you could keep your house and your cars and your image. You're punishing us, Dad said. His voice had gone hard, defensive. Over what? Pride? Because we hurt your feelings. Over the truth. I looked at him directly. I'm not punishing you. I'm just not saving you anymore. You're adults. Figure it out the way I had to figure it out. Alone. Mom grabbed my wrist. Her grip was tight, desperate, her manicured nails digging into my skin. Please. Just 1 more month. Let me figure something out. Please, Emma. I looked at her hand on my arm. Looked at her face. Saw the fear there, real and animal. Part of me wanted to fold, to say yes, to be the person who saved them one more time. But I'd learned something in 3 years of building a business from nothing. You can't save someone who doesn't think they need saving. They'd never thought they needed me. They just thought they needed my money. You have 6 days to figure out the mortgage, I said, removing her hand gently. Same timeline you gave me to grow up and get serious. Should be plenty of time for 2 intelligent adults with financial resources. I left cash on the table for my untouched meal. $60 exact change. Not from the card she'd broken. From the business account she'd pretended didn't exist. Sarah followed me outside. The cold January air hit sharp and clarifying. Emma, wait. He was crying, mascara smudged. Can we talk? Really talk? About what? About all of it. About them. About, she stopped. Started again. You said you're signing a lease on a 2-bedroom in Brooklyn next week. Did you mean that? Would you let me move in with you? I studied her face. Saw something I hadn't seen before. Clarity. Understanding. The beginning of separation. Yes, I said. But you pay actual rent. Market rate. And you're out of their house by this weekend. No warning, no discussion. You just leave. Okay. She nodded. Hey. I can do that. And Sarah. I waited until she met my eyes. If you tell them where I live, if you give them my new address, if you become their information source, we're done. Not just roommates. Sisters. Everything. I need to know you understand that. I understand. Her voice was steady. I'm done being their messenger. I'm done with all of it. I gave her my new address. Watched her save it in her phone. Then I blocked Mom's number. Blocked Dad's. Not out of anger. Out of architecture. I was rebuilding my life, and the foundation couldn't include people who'd spent 3 years trying to demolish it. For months later I sat in my apartment. Exposed brick floor-to-ceiling windows, 15-foot ceilings. Rent paid from my account only, $3,200 monthly for a place that was actually mine. Sarah was in the kitchen making coffee. She'd moved in 3 days after the dinner. Brought 2 suitcases and her cat. Left everything else behind. She'd been paying me $1,600 monthly, half the rent, exactly market rate for the neighborhood. We'd started talking, really talking about what it meant to grow up in a family that measured love and utility. My business hit $480,000 in Q1. Landed 3 major contracts I'd been pursuing for months. Hired 2 full-time employees and a part-time financial analyst who specialized in helping entrepreneurs untangle family money dynamics. Turns out I wasn't the only one. I'd heard through Sarah that Mom and Dad had refinanced the house. Took a cash-out refinance to cover 6 months of expenses while they restructured. New mortgage, $5,100 monthly, up from $3,800. Had to sell both cars, bought used replacements. Cancelled the country club membership. Dad was doing actual consulting work now. Real projects, real deliverables, not just collecting retainer checks for his name on letterhead. They tried calling from different numbers. Sent letters to my old address that got forwarded. Showed up at my old office building before they realized I'd moved to a co-working space. Sarah said they asked about me every day at first, then every week, then stopped asking. I felt nothing about it. Not satisfaction. Not guilt. Just the quiet recognition that they were adults who'd made choices, and now they were living with the consequences of those choices. My therapist said that was healthy. Said the ghost ledger exercise had been transformative, that naming the emotional cost had helped me process them faster than years of traditional therapy might have. She'd asked if I wanted to pursue reconciliation eventually. Maybe, I'd said. If they ever actually apologize. If they ever acknowledge what they did. If they ever see me as something other than an ATM with a pulse. She'd nodded. And if they don't? Then I already have my family. I'd thought of Sarah, of the employees who'd become friends, of the business community I'd built brick by brick. Blood is just one definition. I'm working with better ones now. The mechanical click of my laptop echoed in the quiet apartment. Not a reminder of what I'd lost. A reminder of what I'd built. They tried to cut me off. Instead they'd cut themselves out. The balance was zero. The debt was paid. And for the first time in 3 years I was completely, entirely, finally free.